Good morning and welcome to another episode of OB Acres. Today I'm going to do a video on the John Deere 430 round baler, the twine arm system. I've been working on this off and on for a year. There's been other issues. I replaced the pump on it a year or two ago and it kind of worked, but there were still some issues. And it's kind of a complicated little system of springs and belts, but I've really gotten to know this baler well. I haven't used it, but I've worked on it for him, and there's not a whole lot online explaining the way these things operate. So I want to do a little video and maybe help others have gone through some of the problems I've endured. And I'm pretty sure I'm confident I have it fixed now. And I want to explain to you what I found and what it takes to make this thing work properly. So I'll show you some video here. This is the twine pump. It's essentially a power steering pump off a GM truck, and I replaced that a couple years ago. And this is your control valve that controls the speed of your pump, the speed of the twine arm. And here's the twine arm and the cylinder that operates in this gear. It runs on this rack of pinion gear. So, and I'll run it here. I'll take after I explain the functioning of it, I'll actually run it and show it in operation. But basically, the twine arm goes all the way, and it gets to the end. When it gets all the way to the end, it pushes this plunger over, which actuates. It releases that. It releases this thing, and it allows the valve to actuate. And it'll go the other direction. But when you're baling, this belt is not tight. And I found out today, I don't remember if I put the belt on or I think it was already on here, but it was the wrong belt. It was an A belt, and it needs to be a B37 belt. You can get the John Deere one, or you can just get a B37 belt. The A belt it would work, but it wouldn't tighten up enough. And I think the belt was slipping, and his twine arm, the problem he had was the twine arm would not had enough power in it because the belt was slipping, and you can't see it, you can't see the pump. And the other problem was this spring. I replaced the spring because this thing wasn't actuating, and actually what happened was I ended up putting too strong a spring on it, and it wasn't this little latch here. You see that? This is your bale size, and the pump won't start running until you got at least a half a bale in here, and then it won't start the twine arm until wherever you got this knob. This is how you determine the size of your bale, sliding this knob back and forth. So when it gets to the bale size you want, it's supposed to trip this lever, and then this twine arm, this tension, will get tension on this belt and start running. Well, the problem was this thing was not going back, resetting every time. So it would be like this. So when it's like that, that twine arm will start as soon as that bale gets a quarter size or half size. And that's what was happening. And the problem was that the belt wasn't tight enough, so the twine arm wouldn't run. It would run real slow, and it would screw up. So I got to put the right belt on, got the spring so this thing resets every time. So now there's a spring here. It'll get a lot of tension on that whenever bale size you got, but then it won't put tension on this belt until this thing trips, till this thing trips. And that's how it works. So I'll run it now and I'll show you. I'll start another video. So there's two ways you can do this. You can either take this arm out, and sometimes I'll put a ratchet strap on it and pull that up. What that does, that simulates having a bale in there. The other way you can do it, you can raise your end gate up part way, and that'll actually put tension on that. And then you can manually trip the twine arm, and it'll do that too. So right now you watch, when I pull that twine arm, this thing will trip and the twine arm will start. See how it's running. See the belt? Watch the twine arm. The twine arm's running. It's working really good now. See, it works great. I can do it again. It's going really fast. Oh yeah, it's working really good. So that was the whole problem. I mean, there's a lot of things you're going to look at when you're working on these balers. And the bad part is, I didn't know a lot about these when I started working on it, but now I do. And you can't simulate a bale by doing that. You don't want to raise that all the way up, because what happens, them belts will get loose. And the belts will get loose and droop down, and the twine arm will catch it. So you only want to raise up like 3/4 of the way. So I hope this video helps you. Other people out there with these balers, and thanks, and hit subscribe and like, and we'll see you next time.